Ever just like get stuck on your phone, like in
Yeah.
traffic, and then you look up and everyone's doing the same thing?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of creepy, right? But also, it's like that in schools now.
It is. It's like, are phones even allowed in schools anymore? Some places say no way.
Yeah, this Scientific American article you said, it's like, whoa, this is a big deal. Phones in school, it's not just like kids these days, you know?
It's deeper than that. It's tough, right? We've got these crazy, powerful computers just like, boom, in our pockets.
Right. So useful, but also,
Huge distraction. Especially for kids. Like, how's a kid supposed to learn algebra when there's a cat video right there?
no kidding. So some schools are like, nope, phones are out of here. Like, completely banned.
Millions of students.
Yeah.
New York, L.A., even over in the UK, they're trying this.
Serious stuff.
And not just talk, they're spending money on this. You know those Yonder pouches?
The phone jail things?
Yeah. Millions of kids are using those. It's crazy. Like an $8 million market just
Yeah.
in the U.S. for those things. That's how seriously people are taking this.
Wow, $8 million bucks. That's a lot of silenced tones. But it seems like a lot of people agree with this, right? I mean, the article mentioned a poll where most people, even from different political parties, are like, yeah, ban them.
It's kind of wild, right? Phones in school, it's one of those things everyone seems to have an opinion on. But yeah, the article said that regardless of politics, people want something done about phones in the classroom.
Yeah, and the biggest argument they make is better grades. There's this Bayland study. They found banning phones is like adding an extra hour to the school day. Just poof, more learning.
That Bayland study, that was big.
Yeah.
Teachers have always said phones are distracting, but that study, it backed it up with research. Take away the distraction, bam, better focus, kids remember more.
Makes sense. But hold on, because the article mentions another study, this one from Sweden, and they're like, nah, we didn't see that. No difference in grades with or without phones, so what's the deal?
Yeah, see, this is where it gets tricky. It's not that simple. The Swedish study, they looked at high schoolers, not younger kids like Bayland did. And in Sweden, they're really big on teaching kids about tech, like how to use it right. So maybe those are factors.
So banning phones might help some students, but not all. Definitely not an open and shut case. Okay, so banning phones might help some students, but not others. It's not exactly a slam dunk for the pro-ban side. But before we get too far down that road, let's talk about the mental health aspect. That seems like a whole other beast altogether.
Absolutely. It's like we've got this whole generation growing up with social media at their fingertips, and we're only just beginning to understand the implications for their mental well-being.
And the article doesn't shy away from that. They bring up Jonathan Haidt, who argues that social media is a major driver of the teenage mental health crisis. That's a pretty heavy accusation. Is it really all doom and gloom?
Haidt's work has definitely sparked a lot of debate. And the article does acknowledge that some of the research he cites predates the smartphone era, so it's not a perfect comparison.
Right, like maybe teenagers have always faced mental health challenges. Are we just blaming it on the latest technology?
It's probably more nuanced than that. Teenage brains are wired for social connection and comparison that's not new. What is new is the constant access to curated online worlds where everyone seems perfect and you're bombarded with images and messages that can make you feel inadequate.
It's like comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. No wonder some experts are concerned.
Exactly. But here's the question the article raises. Even if we agree that excessive phone use and social media can be harmful, does that automatically mean a ban is the best solution?
Good point. It's like banning cars because some people get in accidents. Maybe we need driver's ed for phones instead.
That's a great analogy. And the article actually highlights that idea, emphasizing digital literacy. Instead of just taking phones away, what if we taught kids how to use them responsibly and ethically, how to navigate online spaces safely, critically evaluate information, and protect their mental well-being?
That makes a lot of sense. Teach them how to use the tools, not just take the tools away. But the article also points out some potential downsides to bans, even from a mental health standpoint.
It's true. Some experts worry that for certain students, taking away phones could actually make things worse. Imagine a student who relies on their phone to connect with their support network, friends, family, online communities. For them, a phone ban could lead to feelings of isolation, anxiety, even fear, especially in emergencies.
Especially if they have a medical condition and rely on their phone for reminders or to connect with family, that would be really tough.
It highlights the need for nuance. We can't just lump all phone use into one category. There's a big difference between scrolling through TikTok for hours and using your phone to manage a health condition or access educational resources.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Hmm.
Minimizing the potential harms while maximizing the benefits. And speaking of benefits, the article also brought up the issue of digital literacy. Some experts argue that banning phones might actually hinder kids' ability to become digitally fluent.
Exactly. It's like the old saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. The same logic applies here. Instead of shielding kids from technology, maybe we should be equipping them with the skills to navigate it effectively.
Because let's face it, technology is not going anywhere. If anything, it's only going to become more integrated into our lives.
Precisely. The article quotes Michael Rich, who uses this great analogy. He says that using a smartphone is like learning to use power tools in woodshop. You wouldn't just let a kid loose in there without guidance, would you?
Yikes. No way. There'd be chaos. And probably a few injuries.
Exactly. You teach them how to use those tools safely and effectively so they can build amazing things. And the same goes for phones. They're powerful tools that, if used correctly, can open up a world of possibilities for learning, creativity, and connection.
Okay, so we've heard from the experts, but what about the students themselves? What do they think about all of this? After all, they're the ones living this reality every day. It's like we're up here talking about what's best for them, but are we even asking them?
Right. It's their world, too.
Yeah.
And this article, it actually brings up some cool research on that, like what students are actually saying.
Okay, so tell me, what do the kids think?
Well, there's this researcher, Sonia Livingstone, and she found that, yeah, kids get it. They understand why schools ban phones. But, and this is big, they're also saying, hold on, it's not that simple.
So it's not just phones bad, schools good.
Nope. See, kids are saying phones can be super important too, especially for certain stuff.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, think about it. What if you've got a medical condition? Your phone's your lifeline, right? Reminders, calling family if you need help.
Oh, right, of course. You can't just take that away from a kid.
Exactly. And that's what Livingstone's research is saying. We need that balance. Got to be flexible.
Yeah, responsible use. That's the key, right? Not just banning for the sake of it.
Totally. And it all comes back to digital literacy. Like,
Mhm.
instead of being like no phones from up high, what if we brought students in on this? Taught them how to use tech well in school?
Give them a voice, not just take away their stuff. I like it.
Right. And that gets us thinking even bigger picture, right? What if phones actually became tools for learning, for working together, for thinking critically?
Whoa, so instead of phone bans, it's phone integration. That's a totally different way to see it.
It is. And honestly, this whole thing, it's not even just about phones in school. It's about how we're getting kids ready for a world that's all about tech.
So true. And maybe if we can figure this out, if we can find ways to use tech thoughtfully and with empathy, well, that could change everything for kids.
Exactly. That's the hope, right?
Yeah.
That tech can make education richer, more exciting, more connected. That's a future worth striving for.
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. What if we stopped seeing phones as the enemy? What if instead we focused on teaching kids how to use them powerfully and responsibly? Could that be the key to unlocking the full potential of both technology and education for future generations? Something to think about.